I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. This is Green and Faceless on the Couch, a podcast about movies and TV. And welcome back to the Studio Ghibli playlist. We are... Oh, man. This one. Yeah,
this one's rough.
I was trying to put away. It's not rough in the way that it's like, not beautifully done.
Not bad.
It's
at
very
all.
well produced.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
But it's
so beautiful.
It's just it hurts the heart a lot.
It hurts the heart a lot. Yeah, there's many Studio Ghibli films that I have not watched ever. And this is one of them. I don't even know if I could have. There's a lot of them. If I was told to name all the Studio Ghibli films, I'd probably be able to get 7. I don't know.
Sure. There's more than I realized.
If I tried hard.
That's for sure.
Yeah. This one though, I never even heard of this one, so I didn't know much about this. You told me it was a heart wrencher beforehand going in, and that was thank you for that. I was prepared. I knew what I was walking into.
Oh, glad.
And of course, you should also just know what you're walking into, given the name being Grave of the Fireflies. Fireflies are this absolute cute and adorable insect that come out in the summer, fall times.
And they say, "Hey, let's get jiggy with it," with their glowing buttholes.
Woo!
Woo!
Yeah, they what's the word? Twitter pated.
They get Twitter pated. They sure do.
Oh man, but that's a moment of my childhood. It's very beautiful to look back on and remember catching fireflies, putting them in jars.
Yeah,
I did it with my mom, did it with my grandma. It was just a fun thing, and then you let the fireflies go. Of course, you don't just kill them. It was just a beautiful memory to look back on, and so titling your film "Grave of the Fireflies," grave of this cute little adorable thing, it's immediately just
be ready
okay,
for it. Yeah,
prepare yourself.
Yeah, it starts out sad and just gets sadder. It starts out in immediate stress, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
But we are gonna skip that for now. Come back to it.
It's just, it makes more sense just to talk about that at the end.
Because it literally is the end of the story.
It is the end. Yeah, exactly. But we're in Kobe, in Japan during World War II times. Is it Kobe? Is that how you say it?
I believe
Kobe?
so.
Kobe?
Maybe Kobe. I guess I've heard of Kobe beef, but I've also heard people say Kobe. So
Kobe.
It's either Kobe or Kobe.
I gotta say Kobe, otherwise I think NBA basketball star.
Yeah, it's pretty hard not to, right?
May rest in peace. Anyways, they're in Kobe again. World War II. They're in Japan. America's bombing Japan. It's near the end of the war at least. We follow the story follows young Seita and Setsuko. Seita is the boy?
Right? Seita is a nearly teenage boy. I'd say preteen probably. They don't give ages. But he is dressed in a young naval uniform. I'm not sure what they called those. It wasn't like Hitler's youth, but they definitely indoctrinated the children into the military.
Right, and his dad is already part of the Navy.
Officers of some sort.
And Seita is, we're going to list 3 names here. We don't remember which one we watched.
Yeah, we either watch, there's two English versions of it. There's obviously the Japanese version that came out first, but I'm not entirely sure which one we watched. I believe we watched the more recent one with Adam Gibbs. It's not available to stream anywhere, really.
It's too sad for that.
It's too sad for that. But I did happen to have it on a collection of Studio Ghibli DVD set, but there's absolutely no information with this DVD set. So I have no idea which version it is.
I feel like we had to have watched the Toho version,
I believe
which is
it's
the 2012 version.
Yeah. So this is also the first one that we've gotten to that Disney didn't do a redub for.
It's too sad for that.
It's too sad for that. And
Disney's like, we're not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
We don't even remember a war happened.
Be for Disney's taste, it might be a little too sympathetic to the Japanese cause.
I mean that they could literally just be like, we don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Right. Yeah. Because it is the Japanese perspective during the war, which we don't get very often. And if you are a history buff, I shouldn't be plugging this guy. He's got so much, but I really did enjoy Dan Carlin's hardcore history episodes on World War II. He tried his very best to tell it from the perspective of the Japanese. He himself is an American, but he was interested into delving into that perspective of the story. So I thought that was very interesting, if you're interested.
And this is one of the best movies I've ever seen from that perspective. Like,
yeah, well, I would say so.
Because
it's one of the few
brilliant
that I've seen that that I can even recall. It doesn't necessarily sympathize with what the Empire was trying to do by any chance.
Just with the plight of the people, the country itself.
Exactly. Yeah, because we came in with our big guns. I say we. The United States military came in with their big guns. This is even before the A-bombs, and they would drop fire bombs on these cities that were basically constructed wholly out of wood. So it got pretty bad. I don't think I don't know anything about chemical warfare that we did, but the fire bombings were pretty fucking bad.
But before we forget, though, Seda was also, if we watch the Sky Pilot version, Seda's voiced by J. Robert Spencer.
Thank you.
And then the Japanese actor is Tsutomu Tatsumi.
That's right. And Adam Gibbs, as I said, is in the Toho or Sentai Filmworks version. Yeah. And Setsuko was originally voiced by Ayano Shiraishi. And then Corinne Orr voiced them in the first English version, and Emily Naves voiced her, I should say. Her and the maybe Navis. But it's very she's very, very young. Like I said earlier that Sita was probably a preteen. She's like 4 or 5. She's super young.
Right. Yeah, Seda I would assume is like 13 to 16.
Maybe 10.
That's pushing it.
Yeah, he might be 10 to 13 is my guess, because he doesn't seem like he's really hit puberty yet, but he is quite tall.
Right.
Yeah.
He's old enough to shoulder a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, and physical labor, which is required of him later.
Yeah. But yeah, he is the first responsibility is to look after his sister Setsuko because their mother dies in the bombing of Kobe.
Yes. And she does have 1 or 2 lines. Right.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember what she says, but it's something that she says out of trauma anyways.
She is horrendously burnt.
Yeah.
By the fire bombs, and that's an even like it starts off rough because this young child is having to go like walk I don't know how far, like 20 to 30 minutes to the hospital to get to see his mom, and then when he gets there, because of all the patients there, she's just not being
I believe
treated
at
really
first
with respect, but you can't.
I believe at first they don't even know that she's injured. They just go there because it's the place to go for their town. and then somebody who is either a neighbor or something asks if he's seen her mother because she knows what's happened.
Yeah. And Seda, like, once their mother passes, he hides that fact from Setsuko because, he one, doesn't know how to tell her, and two, just can't bring himself to, really talk about it because he has to do so much else.
Yeah.
He can't stop to grieve when he has to figure out how to protect her, how to protect Setsuko.
Yeah.
And he does that by they go to an aunt, I think.
Yes. So in a different town, I don't recall. There is an aunt of theirs. We don't even know if it is his mother's sister or his father, but she is a bit of a curmudgeon. And the aunt originally was Akemi Yamaguchi, and Amy Jones and Marcy Banner did the English versions.
And, you say curmudgeon. She is definitely a curmudgeon. But also, again, if you just look at it from her viewpoint, she ends up having to take on not only Seda and Setsuko, but other refugees eventually come into the house. And it's in a war-torn country where getting food is nearly impossible.
I don't actually remember the other refugees in the house.
I don't really either. That's just what the summary said when I reread it.
Well, anyways, she does take them in, and they are refugees, obviously. But she doesn't really treat them very well. He being Sita, is trying to take care of Setsuko as best as he can. And, she's feeding them and stuff and doing motherly-ish things. But she is constantly pointing out how they are not contributing, which, to be fair to Sita, he's 10 years old, 10 to 13 years old. It is war times, and his cousin is volunteering and stuff, but what their aunt is not bringing into her perspective is that these kids lost their mom and haven't seen their dad in years, probably.
Yeah, I'm not at all protecting the aunt. Her behavior is really awful, and it leads to
pretty shitty.
A really bad story. I'm just saying that she is also dealing with the fact that she just doesn't have food either.
No, she doesn't.
And that's kind of
everybody's stressed. I'm sure.
Yeah.
And their home is at constant threat as well. Who knows where they're going to get bombed next? So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I don't want to defend her at all because she does eventually drive Seda and Setsuko to leave.
Yes.
They leave her house. They go to where do they go?
Where's that shelter? It's a fire shelter.
It's just a fire shelter.
Yeah. So it's built into the hill, so that the hill will hopefully protect from concussion of bombs, and then it shouldn't burn the earth that deep into the earth. That's the idea.
Yeah.
And it's away from town where all the wood is.
Right. But while they're there, they have some beautiful moments. Seda and Setsuko do. There's a lot of good focus on how while they're not happy, they have happy times.
Yes, they find ways to be happy with each other. And
that's just kind of that's so parallel with depression, though. It's just you can be depressed but then have happy moments.
Yeah.
It's it's a very sad thing, but there are beautiful moments throughout that you can focus on, and this movie does a great job at doing that, where it's just there's a moment where Seda and Setsuko, everything around them sucks. The world is a big tragedy right now. And then they just go out and catch some fireflies. Yeah. And it's a really beautiful moment between them. And, it's they have this great moment. And then, sadly, they wake up the next day and the fireflies are dead.
Yeah, so they which, they don't have a long lifespan. I'm not sure exactly how long. I don't think they fucking then die, though. But
God, I hope not.
I hope not. I'm sure that's the way of life for a lot of animals, but...
Praying mantis man.
Yeah,
never forget.
That's true. A lot of spiders too in there. So, shit, what was I talking about?
You're talking about they woke up.
Oh yes. So what they had done is they took this big mosquito net, which is very common in the eastern countries to protect from malaria and stuff like that.
Right.
And they hung that up in the shelter, but then Sita thought it would be a good idea to release the fireflies inside the net so that they could be constellations and shooting stars for them. And it is a very beautiful scene. I like that.
It's a great moment. It really shows how good of a brother Sata is. He's already a good brother just for taking care of her, but he's such a kind-hearted individual that it's just he creates these moments for his sister, and then there's a moment where she's told by the aunt? Was Setsuko told that their mom died from the aunt?
The aunt told her, because the aunt...
Yeah, that was another thing that was really shitty.
Awful.
Yeah.
She, there's just so many things that she does. She's a very passive-aggressive character. That's the whole thing. And, she probably would never have kicked them out. Probably. But she wanted them to leave. She made that very obvious with her passive aggression. So Sita took his sister and what little food that they had, which that's another thing. From the kids' perspective, that their aunt even steals food from them.
She makes them sell all their mom's kimonos, right?
Yes, because she's passed, obviously, and people are still buying things like that, and there's people probably aren't making new kimonos right now,
right?
And so
she has them sell all that, and then I think she takes some of that money, doesn't she?
She takes the money to buy food. It's mostly rice,
right.
And because rice, can store and travel and all that, and so she pours out. She has a jar. I don't remember which one she has at first, the sack or the jar. But anyway, she divvies it between them and the kids, and them I mean being her family. But she serves some of that in the next meal to everyone, and then Sita at one point notices that she had packed rice balls for her her family to go do their thing, and Setsuko didn't want to eat what they were having for breakfast, and she's like, "Don't worry, we'll have rice balls for lunch," and their aunt's like, "No, you won't. You'll have porridge." And I understand the aunt's perspective in that during rationing times. These people are going out and spending energy towards the cause, and these two are just being kids. They'll survive on porridge. It will be okay. That's true. But from their perspective, I think Setsuko's even the one who says it. This little girl's like, but it was our rice. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
They're very much Dickens adults. Like Charles Dickens adults.
Yes, 100%.
Just 100%. Absolutely awful.
Oh man! And then later, so we'll jump forward a little bit. Sita isn't able to properly get Setsuko the nourishment that she needs, and she gets sick, and it happens repeatedly, so she's not getting any nutrients.
And she's very malnourished.
Yes,
it's
very
some of the
sad.
It's very hard imagery to see, even in animation, because it's you see how skinny she's getting, and it's just there's some shots that were just very jaw dropping.
Yes.
We watched this together, and there are moments where it's we were talking and trying to laughing a bit, keeping it light, trying to trying not to get too sad. But whenever they like, she would Setsuko would lift up her shirt and you would just see all of her ribs and everything. It was just like immediately like all the smiles gone. We're both just like, oh, just like this is awful.
Yeah, it really hurts. Not to say that it's not a good story, and we ourselves produced a tragedy that the world hasn't quite seen
Tragedy
yet.
sells, man.
But there was definitely a time where I was quite obsessed with the genre, but man, the world's just so hard anymore that it is hard to watch things like these. But it does give you a different cultural perspective.
Yeah.
And that's important for sure.
And it has this overarching tale of, it's a very beautiful story of togetherness, even in like the worst of times. Like, these two have each other always. Yeah. There's moments where he has to leave her so he can go get something. Yeah. And but she always knows he's coming back.
Yeah.
And then that kind of leads us to the finale. So spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's okay to spoil this movie, because I think, like you said, having a fair warning is
very helpful. Yeah. Very helpful going in, because yes, spoilers, skip ahead like 5 minutes, whatever. Setsuko dies of malnourishment.
Yes, and it is very sad because Sita just decided to deposit the money that was left to them by their mother, which he was trying to save for when things got better, that he could buy probably way overpriced food because it's wartime.
Yeah, and he got back. She's still alive. But she's dying. It's very clear she's dying.
Yeah,
and he's like, "I'll make you some food." And right when he finishes was when he comes back with the food prepared, and she's gone.
Yeah,
and it's so heart-wrenching. Like, it's really upsetting, because he had also just found out right before this that Japan had surrendered,
right,
and that his father was also most likely dead.
Yeah,
because the Navy was all sunk.
Was destroyed.
So it's just like his whole world literally just explodes around him.
Yeah.
It's so rough, because he has done every possible thing that he could do, and it still fell apart. And that is war. That is the world. That is life. It's really heart-wrenching. But since we're still safe within the 5-minute spoiler there that I gave us, buffer, it's time to talk the medias res.
Yes.
Because I didn't know this movie was in medias res when we watched it, because I'm stupid and wasn't really paying attention that well.
Well, there's a lot of things that happen, and they don't go back to it either.
No, which I very much appreciate. I love this film's integrity in telling its story this way. But yeah, like the beginning of the movie is Seda dying.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize. I thought that was just a tacked on, like, this is the wartime. Mm-hmm. There's people who are so beaten and destroyed by this war that they're at like a subway or a train station, and there's Seda lying like next to one of those poles in the train station, and he's barely breathing, he's barely alive. People are walking avoiding him because they think he's a bum, and they're just like, oh, these damn people and everything. And then there's one person who gives him food. I remembered that because I thought that was a nice moment where one person walked by and gave him food. But he's there's nothing left.
Yeah.
He doesn't even touch the food. He just dies.
Yeah.
And it's very sad. But again, I didn't realize that it was in medias res, because I just thought that was a precursor.
Yeah, just precursor of how horribly sad this movie is. But no, and the only real thing that connects it is the fruit drop can. Early on, he finds this little hideaway hole with food in it and brings that back to the family, which, like, that was, like, a really big contribution, and his aunt was still always awful. Just always.
Always, yeah.
But anyways, it had this can of fruit drop candies in it, and he hid that and saved it just for Setsuko. And they slowly ate these candies throughout the film, and it was usually very sweet until the end, where it's just the last few, and they do make a candy tea out of it, though. That was kind of cute. Yeah. Once it was all gone, they took the crumbs, made a little tea with it, and then once the inevitable happens, he uses that for his sister's ashes. I don't know if we're in 5 minutes still, but
yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, guys, it's fine, but
yes,
I hope you didn't even follow the spoiler warning. Just stick with us, like, still watch this movie. I know we're spoiling it all, but it's very beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of movie that maybe is almost better when it's spoiled, because you're not. Well, I mean, that's definitely not the artist's hope, I'm guessing.
Right.
When you know what's going to happen, when you know what you're expecting, you can brace yourself and still enjoy the story without leaving. Right. Because some people, get really mad when a movie makes them feel real emotions.
Right, yeah. And there's a lot of people who just refuse to watch it, and I'm just like, no, you gotta accept that sorrow is a way of life, and that some sorrowful stories help you deal with it. It's all about the beauty of the story. Like, I don't know, I enjoy these kind of tragedies. Like,
I do
even
too.
Though this is very hard to watch, it's really moving.
I enjoy it a little less post-pandemic, to be honest.
Well, that's fun.
But during undergrad, I was downright obsessed with tragedy, and not in the like, oh, look at this big goth boy, but like in the academic way. And, but I just, it's just too hard anymore to do it for fun. But I still
PTSD. I get it.
Yeah, definitely. Jesus, but I still think it's important to have and watch movies like this, especially the culturally relevant ones. Man, are we ever going to release our 13-minute tragedy? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, someday.
It's done.
We'll find a perfect spot for it to be released.
Yeah.
Straight into the ocean.
I didn't know that the world was going to set itself on fire when I made it.
But no, I do recommend this movie. I absolutely love it. Looking back on it and realizing it's in medias res, having rewatched the intro right afterwards, which is how I recommend you watch this movie. I recommend you watch the movie all the way through, front to back, and then once you finished it, you sit through the credits crying, and then after that, you go all the way back to the beginning and watch the first 4 minutes. Because, again, even though it's very, very sad, when Seda dies at the beginning, during the introduction, like where you have the beautiful music and you have the, Grave of the Fireflies, the big title screen shows up and everything. During that moment, the spirits of these two find each other and go to their version of the afterlife together. And so it's like, looking back on it, was just a beautiful introduction. I was just like, yeah, this is nice. I like it. These two are taking the train. They're riding together. They're looking out over a beautiful city that looks happy and modern and nice. And it's like, oh, yeah, dreams of the future after the war.
Yeah.
It's good. It's really beautiful when you watch it that way. When you watch the whole movie and then go back to the beginning and watch the in medias res part again. It really makes the story feels somewhat heartwarming, even though it's still absolutely depressing.
Yeah.
Even though it shows all the horrible natures of war and like all everything, it really does have that follow through if you rewatch the beginning, and you're just like, oh, thank God that no matter what, they were always together. And that's what really does it for me. That's why I give this film 4 stars. That's why I still give it 4 stars. I will rewatch it someday because sometimes you just want to be sad, damn it.
That is true. Sometimes you do. I have other movies that make me feel less horrified and sad. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah. This one, it hurts, but it is very good art. It is a good movie.
Oh yeah.
I give it 100% a full face. The only reason why I can't give it a face and a half is because I don't know if I can ever watch this again. 2 was enough.
You say that now.
I do say that
now. I'm sure
I do say
in the
that
future.
Now. This is true. After 10 years
I would hope.
of living in Spain, I'll rewatch it.
There you go. I don't even think we mentioned that this is the first one that we've done of Studio Ghibli that's not by Hayao Miyazaki Hayao. This is the one by Isao Takahata.
Okay.
This is his first of Studio Ghibli. You mentioned it was based on a book. Who did the book?
Who did the book? It was a short story, I suppose.
Akiyuki Nosaka.
Way to write a really sad story and then
indeed
way to make a really sad movie.
Yep, you tore our hearts apart. I highly recommend it if you want to be sad, by all means. And this is also, in my opinion, one of the best war movies I've ever seen. And that's coming from an individual who doesn't really like a lot of war movies. So,
wow. It's still a really good war movie. I think what makes it a particularly good war movie is that it does not focus on the battles.
The guns.
Yeah. Awful things obviously happen. Like there's a firebombing pretty much right at the beginning. But
yeah,
it is about the individuals who it affects the most.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not focusing on the fighters, it's not glorifying the battle.
Absolutely
It's showing the realistic side from those who are not in the war itself, but are part of it through geography.
Yeah. They are literally in the way of the war machine.
Oh.
Okay.
Let's hope it never happens again, even though it's happening every day around the world somewhere.
Yes. War sucks, guys.
It really does.
If you are in a country that's in any way democratic, just voice your opinion on war, which is no thanks.
It sucks.
No thanks, it
Make
sucks.
love, not war.
That's right. Damn it.
I'm with the hippies, damn it. That's
I'm
right.
gonna tattoo it on my nuts. All right. I think that's the show.
Oh man, that would be so painful.
It would be awful.
I mean, I'll lop them off and then tattoo on them.
Oh, okay.
How about that?
All right, and then keep them in a jar.
I'll put them up over the mantelpiece. And you're like, there's my manhood. I cut it off when I was 30.
You see what it says on there? It's kind of scrunched up, but
it's starting to look a bit like Napoleon Bonaparte's penis up there, isn't it?
Jeez. All right, I think that.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep.
I am the Green Traveler from Gore,
and I am the Faceless Leon, the comical relief experiment. Safe travels and good night.